we believe that metals have drifted away from these deeper ideas and turns toward more banal and literal concepts.
Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you'd be so kind, would you mind introducing yourself?
Good night. My name is Eduardo Santa, better known as Israel Bathroz in the band. Thank you very much for the invitation. I am very excited to answer your questions.
And Israel, how would you describe the music of King?
Okay, describing our music by genre is relatively simple. We are immersed in the sound of a blackened death metal. Lyrically and conceptually, we are deeply focused on a casual psychodimensional magic. Okay, this is something like a casual psychodimensional magic is an exoteric approach that posits the existence of connection and effects beyond traditional causal laws. It is based on the idea that the human mind can interact with multiple dimensions of reality through consciousness, symbols, and intentions. This type of magic doesn't really direct cause and effects relationship, but rather on synchronicities of physics resonances. It issues rituals, archetypes, and alters a state of consciousness to access non-ordinary planes of existence. It purpose into transform the perception and reality of the practitioners through a deep interaction between mind, symbol, and universe.
So we'll get back to the spiritual aspect of the band. In terms of your music, when you say black and death metal, would you say that the speed is an important part of your sound?
Yeah. The speed is very important part of our sound. Talking about the importance of in an exoteric approach of positive existence of connections and effects beyond the traditional causal laws.
And you're based in Medellin?
Yeah, we are based in Medellin, Colombia.
Cool. Can you tell me a little bit about the history of the band and what your goals were, what your intentions were
Okay.
when you first put King together?
Okay, good. King began in 2005. In fact, these years we're celebrating 20 years of musical career. At first, it's a start as a solo project, but I was soon invited to perform at a few shows, so I brought in other musicians to fulfill those commandments. And well, we have kept going to ever since. At that time, I really enjoyed singing a couple of Merciful Fate songs, and people recognized me, the high pitched voice in me. And that's when the solo project was born. And it felt fitting to call it King as well. Our initial goal was simply to have fun making music in a self taught way, to record some things and earn a bit of recognition among friends and fellow musicians. Honestly, we never thought it would become a long standing band that would stay active for many years without pause. We also enjoyed playing covers of bands like not necessarily from any specific genre. We covered songs by Death, Decide, Emperor, Immortal, Belphegor, Cannibal Corpse, among others. The goal was just to enjoy ourselves.
So you covered a number of different types of bands, old school death metal bands, black metal bands. You said King Diamond and Merciful Fate. Did you already have a good idea of what kind of music you wanted to make as original?
Yeah, we in this moment we are involved in more is spiritual moments of our music. We performed black and death metal with a lot of it of traditional blastings, and we are more focused in ourselves, in our self thinking, in more spiritual manners of our music.
So going from the solo project to a full band, how did you meet your other bandmates?
Okay, we are close friends. We are called friends at that time. Friends of the other bands that performs different kind of genres in the area, black metal, death metal. And at that time, we joined together and we can create music. And I show us the basics of all those riffs, and we start at that moment, and we are here 20 years we passed.
Can you tell me a little bit about the metal scene in Colombia?
Okay. In Colombia, the metal scene is very huge. The metal scene starts a long time ago with a genre best known as ultra metal, and there are a lot of exponents of this genre. We have Reencarnación, one of the most important bands in that genre. Parabellum is something very well recognition. Massacre is a very, very well-known band of death metal. The metal is raw, is very crude, is very aggressive. It's a kind of part of South American black and death metal that starts with all the fury and with a very raw sound. And during the time that music, we are more evolved in a progression and an evolution of itself, but the meaning of the music is the same. Is the very violent song, is a very crude, is a very rude, and that's it.
Did you take a lot of inspiration from the other Colombian metal bands like Massacre and Parabellum?
Yeah, those bands. The metal is very impressive in itself because all those bands are so brutal and the song is so and is very incredible. Is all those bands are the main exponents of our metal in Colombian.
Yeah. So you spoke a little bit about the philosophy behind the bands. Is this rooted in anything like Aleister Crowley or the Telema system?
Yeah. Our new album is titled K. Beyond being the letter that begins the name of the band, we chose the little K because of the etymology behind our lyric and philosophy. In a casual psychodimensional magic, the letter K symbolizes a break from traditional magic and represents the power of conscious will, a personal transformation. It was okay. You say that it was popularized by Aleister Crowley when he wrote magic with K to distinguish exoteric magic from the state magic. The K also suggests a connection with the occult, chaos, and transdimensional. The entire album based on this exoteric concept, and it reflects a struggle as a band feel, because we believe that metals have drifted away from these deeper ideas and turns toward more banal and literal concepts. We prefer to stand firm in this struggle, always from a place of respect and understanding of difference.
Which came first for you? Your interest in extreme metal, like black metal and death metal, or this interest in esoteric knowledge, esoteric magic?
It's a mixture between of both. We are interested in black metal as a sound, a very brutal sound, and we are interested in exoteric topics, well, as lyrical and political issues.
When you write songs, how does it usually start for you? Do you start everything on the guitar?
Yeah. I start the band in a guitar, then in a bass guitar and programming percussions and old vocals of the first demo called No Louder Zero Fucking Happiness in 2005. And then we start to work on guitars and primary on the vocals, and the other guys were join me to the band in the bass guitar, in the drums, in all those stuff. But in the beginnings, we create all the music. If King, the first demo by myself.
When you record your demos, do you use something like Reaper or Pro Tools or something like that?
At the beginnings, yes, I record the drums while was in something called Fruity Loops or something like that. That was the first drumming of in the first demo. Then all our works, our albums were in a with a drums with a drummer.
When you first write the songs and arrange the songs, is it you by yourself or do you work with your other band members?
No, by myself.
Okay.
The lyric comes is own is by myself. I create all the lyrics. I create all the ideas of the lyrics, and we make it in that way.
What about the riffs?
Okay, the riffs. We compose at least the 80% of the riffs. Kaifas Boulevard, that is the other the guitar man in the band. He creates in a 20 or 30% of the riffs. We mixed it together and we created the music.
Okay. Do you guys create demos for the riffs and the arrangements, the compositions, before the other members hear them?
No. At the beginning, we I wrote all the riffs and all the lyrics.
Okay. So, how finished are the songs when the other members hear them? Mostly complete?
Yes, mostly complete. We create together in all the drum fields and the bass lines. We discuss how to make it the best as possible from the band, and we create all that.
So, as you mentioned, you'll have a new album coming out at the end of June called K,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
which will be released through Horror, Pain, Gore, Death Productions.
Yes. Yeah.
And you also talked about the meaning of the letter K and why it has significance in this esoteric philosophy. When did you start working on the music for this album?
We started a couple of years ago. We record and mastered at Nodriza Studios in Medellin, Colombia, by Camilo Nodriza from the Colombian American band No Raza. Produced by Horror Pain Gore Death in the next June. Okay, that's it. Is here in Colombia the things we start to record and very soon we need to release our albums to sell to our friends and the people who likes the band, and that is the way that we make it here in Colombia.
Yeah. In terms of the music, did you want to do anything different from your previous album, Blood, Fire, Black Magic?
Yes, yeah. Bloodfire Black Magic is an album very rude, and it's a very raw. The music of that album is more involved in theistic satanism. Here in this other album K, we are more involved in an esoteric terms, like I I exposed before. But the scenes of have a very brutal music and blackened metal with very a lot of blast beat and very crunchy riffs and all that stops. It remains.
Do you think K is more technical in terms of your guitar playing?
Yeah, yeah. K is more technical, definitely, because for this album we explore more topics in music. We explore negative scales. We explore different types of harmonies and different kinds and ways to perform our music is more elaborated, is more musical. Yes, is totally different.
You mentioned the studio that you recorded in. Did you say that the engineer is Camilo?
Yeah, the engineer is Camilo Nodriza.
Camilo Nodriza. Okay. Why did you decide to record with him, and what did you want him to bring to the sound of the album?
Okay, we decide a record with Nodriza because the sound of Nodriza is so powerful. Is a very compressed sound, and we believe that is the step that we need to follow to make in the web platforms and all those stuff because we are looking for a sound a little bit professional and more compressed and all this stuff. Okay, for that reason we record with Camilo Nodriza.
This album also has more atmospheric and acoustic parts.
Yes, yes. In some parts is atmospheric. In other parts is melodic. In another part is so crunchy and with blazing guitars and something like that. It's an album very with a lot of variations.
It's almost like a movie score. Do you know what I mean? Like it's very epic and wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of sensations through the music is very interesting because we need to express our feelings through the music and through our philosophy, and we start to recognize our feelings through the music. Is there are a lot of things inside of this record.
album also has a cover of a Dead Congregation song, Only Ashes Remain.
Yeah, yeah. Only
Do you want to say anything about the cover?
yeah. Only Ashes Remains is a very challenging cover for us because Only Ashes Remains is a very aggressive death metal sound, and we love that congregation. The congregation for us is a very is a band that we loved, and we spend a lot of hours listening to that music and bands similar to those guys and okay and talking with our colleagues we need to make a cover of that band and with those brutal drum fields and all those stuff and that's it. That was the way that the covers brings to light. And okay, only I should remain from that congregation.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything about track 6? I think it's a tribute to some of your friends.
Yes, we 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 have a couples of losses in our lives. A couple of friends and my mother took his life in a couple of years ago, and that song is very significant to us because it's our spirit through the music. That's it. It's our spirit through the music.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So, as you mentioned, HPGD will be releasing this album, and this is your first album with them.
Yeah. It's our first album with horror pain gore death, and we are very excited about it because we know his career and the bands that he carry out with this record and we are very excited. It's a very good record.
Yeah. How did Mike from HPGD reach out to you? How did he get in contact with you? Or did you get in contact with him?
Yeah. We get in contact. We get in contact. We read a letter with our couple of demos, and we sent the material to him, and then he wrote us an email, and he starts everything. Starts in that way.
Did you already record the album before HPGD signed you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. When you recorded the album, did you already know that HPGD was going to release it?
No, no. We wrote to another labels, and when Mike answered that letter, it was very grateful for us because we know the work of Mike, and we are very excited to work with him.
Cool. So the album will be out at the end of June. Do you have any plans to play shows or festivals or anything like that
Yeah.
after the album is released?
In this moment, we are focused in a local concerts. We have here a concert with Inquisition from the States, and probably we were in October or November with Hate, and I don't know what is the name of the other band. It could be Hate or Ultimas. I think it's Ultimas. We are gonna play with Hate.
I think so. That's Morbid Angel.
Yeah, Every Angel guy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We are going to play with Ultimas and Hate, and we are going to play to Inquisition. And we are start to work in our first European tour touring in 2026.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, that's very good for us.
For your European tour, do you know which countries?
Okay, we are talking about Germany, Czechia, Switzerland, Poland, could be Spain, Portugal. There are a lot of places that we are very excited to go there.
Very cool. So, at the end of June, K will be released through Horror, Pain, Gore, Death Productions.
Yes.
Israel, please tell everyone how they can order the album. What's the best way to get it?
Okay. From now, all material from this album can be found directly on the Horror Pain Gore Death link. The website is horrorpaingoredeath.com. And you can follow up in Facebook, in our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/KingBandOfficial. And Instagram too is King_band_official. And in YouTube too, King_band_official too. That in all those links you can follow us and can make other stuff with us before releases, t-shirts, music, all that we have.
For the physical release of K,
Yeah.
is it just going to be the CD?
Yeah, there are a CD, there are a couple of caps and a t-shirt too, in a 2 models t-shirt. Yeah, Mike is gonna make that stuff.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to say?
Okay, to conclude, we want to thank you for this space and for allowing us to share a bit of our cosmogony. And finally, we want to tell everyone listening to this podcast to check out our music and take away the sense of how we hold the black and dead metal in Colombia. Sorry for my English is so poor. I recognize that, but I try to make my best effort to try to communicate.
You did great. I think everybody appreciates your effort.
Oh, okay, very good, thanks.
Muchas gracias, Israel.
Gracias a usted, Mike. Adrián, muchas gracias.
celebration of freedom, self-conviction, fear, and fearless.